back up. Who understands English? Yeah. So, who understands English when it's talked really, really fast? It's a good thing you're here. Everybody else take notes from these guys because I've been told time after time after time again that I talk very fast. And I can't bring myself to adopt a Texas accent, so I'll slow down because I just can't stand that accent. So I'm gonna just continue talking fast. Raise your hand or throw something if you don't understand something that I say. I'm gonna try to slow down for you. So as I was saying, my colleagues have been talking about international SEO, the title of the session. The notes that I brought, the session that I brought are on international SEO versus local search, or in some cases I'm getting the impression national search, because as with the previous sessions I've had, or conferences I've been at here, it seems that the Romanians are more going for Romanian audience. My background is in gaming. I was a super affiliate in the States for 10 years, and when it was outlawed, then I moved to England. All my clients, gaming SEOs, all the big guys, 88, William Hill, their clients are global. So when I talk about international SEO, I mean global SEO versus what I would term national SEO. So as a show of hands for the people who are in here, just so I can get an idea, how many people are really just targeting a Romanian audience? How many people want to target a global audience? Perfect. Damn, we're finally at the right place at the right time. Man, I tell you what, the last few conferences, I was doing this. I was like, dude, you know SEO is just SEO, it's not called SEO. And then I found out afterwards I was an idiot because SEO is SEO in Romania, it's SEO every place else. But it's good to know that we have a lot of knowledge in here, because it's nothing worse than saying things that people don't understand, especially in English, really fast. So, I'm going to pop out of this real quick, and I want to show you, I'll talk about myself real quick again. So I do SEO for gaming companies. These guys are targeting what I term as Hollywood terms, so bingo, poker, blackjack, to everybody in the world. So we're not talking about local search or local markets, we're talking tens of millions of searches, hundreds of millions of pounds, dollars, euros, companies that are spending 50,000 pounds a month on SEO or SEO. So where it is targeting internationally, and it is on a different level, these same tips and the things I'm going to talk about can be applied on a local level to some extent. Geo-targeting is probably the cardinal of what I'm going to, the main point that I'm going to talk about, and how to use geo-targeting and how to use it effectively if you're targeting an international audience. So this can apply to even a national or even a local market. But in some cases it might be overkill, but in SEO, overkill is good. Overkill in SEO means you win. And you know what I try to do is get my clients to the top position for these big Hollywood terms, and it's not an easy thing. It takes black hat, gray hat, blue hat, white hat, whatever you want to call it. It takes social media, it takes everything. So, but the strongest thing I'm going to talk about that can affect your rankings locally in a white hat fashion is going to be geo-targeting. So I'm going to pop back out real quick here and pull up the search I did. This is some of the homework that we do when we're looking to figure out what markets to target on a new client. This one, for instance, was a bingo client, so I wanted to look up bingo. Let me see real quick here. So let me go back here. Go bingo online. So we found out that this is one of the targets that we wanted to acquire because there was a lot of traffic, but we needed to figure out how we could get the low-hanging fruit. How can I get the long tail? An interesting statistic, I think one of my colleagues mentioned it earlier, I'm going to round it off for you. 1 out of every 4 searches done on Google every single day, of the 750 million searches done every day, or billion, million, I think million, 1 out of 4 have never been searched before. Now that just blows my mind. 3 years ago when Google said it, it was blowing my mind. It's still blowing my mind. 1 out of every 4 search terms. The reason being is people are getting smarter. They know how search engines work. Where 4 or 5 years ago, search queries might have been 2 or 3 words. Now they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Long tail keyword strings. 1 out of 4 are searched for the first time. Now this is the big part, especially for you e-commerce or really anybody making money on the web. 60% of all conversions come from those searches. The 1 out of 4. So it's important to target long tail. It's important to look at these sorts of things. And then when you get into the subject of my session, which is geo-targeting, it goes a step further because you've got languages involved, you've got local salt involved, you've got a lot of different factors that you have to look at. So let's just take this instance, Bingo Online, we wanted to find out what are the good targets geographically speaking, because they all differ. In this instance, Bingo Online, you can see you've got United Kingdom, Romania, Ireland, Denmark, Brazil, so on and so forth. Flip over here real quick to just Bingo. And all the countries, well, outside the United Kingdom, where Bingo is, it's like free club in the UK, they all pretty much change as well. So you have different targets, you have different demographics, different languages. How do you target these guys? Because depending on where you are at, and I'm going to give you a good tool to use, other than maybe something that you're using already that might be more confusing. If you want to look like you're searching from the US, or you want to look like you're searching from Germany, or whatever target market you're going after, this is a good tool for you to use. Overplay, real simple. You install it, pick one out, connect, and it looks like you're in that country. Remember that tool, it's a very good tool. I've been using some pretty crazy tools the past 30 years, and this one is pretty straightforward. So we use that and we start searching for Bingo Online. This is the UK search, so this is a bit skewed because it's the most competitive market in the world. So you're going to see a lot of different results in the UK than you will anyplace else. These guys are spending upwards of £50,000 a month, and they have 50 to 100 SEOs in-house. They have a whole different, it's on a whole different level than us normal people. But if we go to the second ranking, which is Romania, and you look at the results, something I like to point out is that you have subdomains, you've got subdirectories, you've got primary TLDs. Now everybody understands the difference between a subdomain and a subdirectory, right? If not, I'll show you in a minute. Basically, a subdirectory is mywebsite.com/subdomain. Sorry, subdirectory. Now I'm confusing you. The other would be subdomain.mysite.com. The difference is one is a file under the primary TLD, your top level domain, your website. The other is a subdomain. Now, the thing that is always blown my mind about subdomains is that Google sees those as a totally separate website. Back when I first started testing this about 5 years ago, I was doing SEO for Bingo.com. I created a subdomain for Bingo.com and had them ranking for the keyword Bingo worldwide twice in the top 10, once for their domain, once for their subdomain. It doesn't work that way anymore, unfortunately. It's not that easy. Google busted us on it, I guess you could say. But basically what I use that to represent is the fact that subdomains are seen by Google as being a whole separate domain. It's its own standalone website. I've got sites, I do SEO for a company named CyberBingo. We just created 10 subdomains. They're all geographically and language-based targeted. And we've gone into Webmaster Central and we've used some tools, like geo-targeting to enhance their results where they're showing up in searches from that particular country. So when you look at the top 10, what I look at is, what is my competition? In Romania, it's really fairly weak, believe it or not, because you've got subdomains showing up. That second one, for instance, well, you see it, I won't try and pronounce it, but number 2, you've got a subdomain there. If you go down through, let's see what else we've got here. I think I'm signed in here. Let me go to the next one. This is from Ireland. You've got IE, which is a CCTLD, so it's not a .com, it's an IE. A little bit further. Then you go about Ladbrokes. Ladbrokes, Paddy Power pretty much dominates subdirectories. They figured this out several years ago. So if that goes to show you that there are companies out there that are taking advantage of the subdomain scheme of this subdomain strategy. You can as well. The difference, the benefits that you have in Romania, in this case, if you're going for bingo, is that because you are a .ro and you're located in Romania, you're going to have better results if that person is in Romania searching for that term. So we can go back down through here and look at all the rest of the top 5, I think. Number 1 here is an EU. So there's really no standout anymore. Where there used to be a standout of .coms in searches, regardless of what country you were in. So the .coms have always been the strongest. Now you're not getting that. You're getting CCTLDs like EU, which was always a weak domain. I've seen .infos and .tvs ranking in the top 10 for these types of Hollywood terms. So the days of the .com being the strongest are far gone. So what can we do to manipulate this or engineer it, as we see others do? We need to use geotargeting. Now I'm going to apologize ahead of time for these other slides over here. I transferred this from Keynote into PC, and much like probably a lot of what I'm going to say today is going to be lost in translation. This was lost in translation. My slides went to hell, but there are some pretty cool colors. So. Some things to ask yourself about your site is, do you need geographic targeting? If you're only targeting Romania, I would say, I don't know, well, to be fair, I think it depends a lot upon your product. If local search is going to benefit you, if you're targeting a national audience or if you're targeting an international audience. I'm going to assume with the show of hands I saw earlier that you're targeting the international market, so everything that I'm saying from here on out is basically going to be referencing targeting the globe, not national traffic, not European traffic of the globe. Do I need language-based subdomains or subdirectories? This has a lot to do with the competition and what you're seeing in the results when you're searching for your keyword terms in your keyword language from an IP in your keyword target. Follow me there? Overplay, remember that, overplay. Always use that tool. Anytime you're searching outside of Romania, use that tool so it looks like you're in that country. Should I move hosting? Yes. The short of it is, if you're targeting a country outside of Romania or outside of wherever your website is hosted at, yes. For the cost of it, for the minimal cost that it takes to break off subdomains, the work that goes into it in targeting and hosting it in that particular region, I think it's well worth it, and I have seen a significant difference in results. And again, remember, I'm not dealing in the top 50 or 100 or 1,000, I'm dealing in the top 10. So when I do something and I see a change, I'm seeing it for a Hollywood term in a target market in a super, ultra competitive market. So these changes on this level, on a Romania search level, or on a product other than, gaining the 3 Ps, as I call them, pills, porn, and poker, your differences and the results are going to change significantly. Can I afford to do it all? Yes. Create subdomains, subdirectories, and use Google's geographic targeting tool. Forgive me, I don't have a client that target Romania, so I don't know if this is the case or not. I do know that in the U.S. there was geographic targeting down to the city level a couple years ago, and it came into the UK after that. I don't know if they had it in Romania yet, so forgive me. But go to Google Webmaster Tools and look it up. Basically, if you can target a specific region, in this case a city, it's possible to break off a subdomain and target just that city with Google geographical targeting. In my case, I target countries and I target languages, so it's a little bit different. But if you are, let's say, just starting out targeting a Romanian market, you can target specific cities with Google geo-targeting. It's in your Webmaster Tools. What I have done is, rather than create subdirectories, which is, in this case, yoursite.com/fr, we've created subdirectories, or subdomains. The subdomains we take and break off and create a new A address. We host them in the country that we're targeting. We create the meta tags like GPS, meta tags, the odd ones you don't normally hear about, don't normally use. We use them. We've even went to the extent in the past, if we have a hot market like LA for blackjack, we've created this a little bit of black hat. We went over a VoIP network where you can get phone numbers, local phone numbers. We even went to the extent a couple years ago of getting PO boxes so we could have local addresses and it would all verify out with Google, but it would dominate the local search. But anyway, that was a local search. This is a global search. So the subdomain you can break off, just as you see here, host it in France, host it on a French server, include your GPS meta tags, include other things like local addresses, your descriptions, content, links coming back from .fr TLDs, top-level domains, to your site, content in French. All these things are indicators for Google. So subdirectories can be used to target languages. You kind of have to look at it this way. If you have a brand new site, you really have nothing to offer a subdomain or a subdirectory. If you have a site that's been out there for a long time, let's say you have a site that's been targeting the Romanian market for the past 5 years, now you're wanting to go global, now you want to go international, this is the perfect situation for you. You can take your primary domain and create subdomains, just like you can subdirectories, and you can bleed, or you can pass on some of the authority and the trust that your primary site has earned over the past 5 years by way of links you've built or content you've written or whatever. So you get the strong domain up here, doing great in Romania, but you want to target France. So how are you going to do that? Do you create a subdirectory in French and then target with geo-targeting? Or do you create a subdirectory and use geo-targeting for that? Then it becomes an entirely standalone site itself. In this case, I would probably do both because of the cost involved. When I first did this presentation, I think 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't that conducive, but today it is. But I would take the strength of that first site, create a subdirectory, a subdomain, and link to it. Almost, from my testing, it's been about 80 to 90% of the juice from that primary site will be sent to that subdomain. Even though it sits alone and it looks like its own website for Google, it's a completely different site as far as Google's concerned. It's about the same equivalent as if you added a subdirectory and the influence of the page rank that it would be passed down in that fashion. Does everybody follow me? So you have subdirectories, subdomains, you have a strong primary domain, you have a new market you want to target, say France. Should I do a subdirectory with French, or should I do a subdomain with geo-targeting and host it in that country? Use French. I would go with the subdomain first. One more thing, by doing both, you'd be surprised at the difference that you come up with in searches. So when somebody's out, searching on the web, if they use an advanced filter like searches in or websites in French or websites from France, the differences are stunning. You can rank in both of those by using subdirectories and subdomains. Okay? Don't use geographical targeting, build backlinks from similar content. This is kind of old hat, I think, for you guys that know SEO. I'll drop a couple of names, because everybody buys links. If you say you're not, then you're not doing SEO. Oh well, to be fair, I said this at the last conference a couple weeks ago. If you're doing SEO, you're a black hat. You know, there was no white hat before there was black hat, right? There wasn't. If you do anything to engineer results, you're a black hat, right? It's just to what level you're willing to go. You want to use SEO Gex? Do you want to do Google bowling and just kill your competition? Do you want to buy links? Do you want to create link networks? I mean, it's been going on forever. It's going to go on forever. That is SEO. So I'm going to drop a couple names of some places just recently I've dealt with. I've dealt with all the link brokers out there. Teliad is real good. IntelliLinks is real good. TextLinks is real good if you want to buy links. Teliad I think is good because it gives some good analysis of on and off page factors, but not to get off on a tangent there, but somebody had mentioned link building earlier, so those are some good ones I know of. Acquire backlinks from similar domains, so link back from .fr to your site, or link back in the same language, obviously. These are all things that on an international level are going to rank you higher than somebody that has the benefit of doing search on a site in your target country when you're not in that country. I think the biggest things I've seen influence ranking is hosting the domain in that particular country. It's something that Google's looked at for a long time. It's part of the basic algorithm, like how long has the domain been registered? Has it been lateral content over 15 years, or has it gone from cars, porn, Viagra, porn, you know, has it switched over and over and over again? It's one of the mainstays I think Google has looked at. So, the important things to remember, to target a language using only subdirectories, don't use geographical targeting. So if you can do geographical targeting, and please somebody, if you know I'm wrong here, let me know, because again, I don't do SEO in Romania, I do it for Romania, for a global market. So I don't really know the individual settings within Romania, but in the US and UK, for instance, you can target cities, regions, you can actually take subdomains, you can take subdirectories and target, right? Whereas previously you can take subdomains and do geographical targeting, or take your primary domain and use geographical targeting. But when you get into subdirectories, you weren't able to do that. In the US and the UK, you can do that now. So I don't have to create subdomains. I can use subdirectories if I wanted to, and do geographical targeting on those. I prefer not to because I want the benefit of being able to host that target subdomain in the target country. For some reason, I've seen a lot better results off of doing that than I have, say, on a US target using a subdirectory and then using geo-targeting on that subdirectory. I hope I'm not confusing you guys, because